These are the steps for the drawing portion of your Romero Britto inspired hearts. This lesson was inspired by a blog post by Cassie Stevens. Like always, put your name and teacher code on the back. Using a pencil, carefully trace your heart stencil. Make sure it is pretty well in the center of your paper, and you might need a neighbor at your table to help you hold this very large stencil while you trace it. Then you'll need a paint marker to trace the outside of your heart and start adding some of your lines. If you need to, there'll be practice paper on your table to test carefully your bingo dabber to make sure that the ink's coming out nicely, and also to kind of get a feel for what they're like to use. So carefully and slowly we're going to trace around our heart. You need to hold them straight up and down to get the ink to flow out. And you can turn your paper as you go so that you can easier reach the areas of your heart. So all the way around, very slowly and carefully. If you made any mistakes, don't worry, because you can turn that into part of your pattern. Take a look at some of Romero's patterns that'll be posted on the board to give you some inspiration for how you can design your heart. We will start by dividing our heart into some different sections and then add the patterns. So I have 4 sections here, and then I went back and I added patterns. To do this, I very carefully added 3 lines with the paint marker that are either touching the heart line or a line that's already in the middle. So watch carefully. So if I take one line, there's one, and another line, 2 lines, and now I'm just going to attach these 2 here. So now I have some very large sections. If you want to do maybe one more line, that would be okay. Just remember, your lines should touch either a line in the middle or the edge of your heart. We should not have any lines that are just floating, kind of like this. After you have your sections, you're going to start adding additional lines and patterns. So if you made a mistake, like this right here, you can take and turn it into something. So this area, this section right here, I'll just put zigzags in. And always remember, your mistakes can be turned into something. And maybe because I have some wobbly lines up here, I want to do some stripes. So I can color this in area black. And then after you're done adding thick lines, we'll go back and add some thin lines with black Sharpie marker. When you're done with your drawing, if there's time remaining for class, then you can start adding some very dark coloring to some areas. We will add paint to the other areas, but we like to add lots of color to these. And we're not coloring the whole thing. As I said, we're just going to do some little areas, so maybe just some polka dots. Maybe I want to do every other stripe in a pattern of colors. So just small areas of color, and then later we'll go back and add paint. Just in case any of our black is still a little bit wet, we're going to place these on the drying rack today. And you don't need cardboard today because they're not going to be very heavy with paint, or that kind of heavy wet feeling that we usually get when we paint a lot. So just carefully place them on the drying rack, and they'll be waiting for you next time to add some more color.